It is February. You are in your socks. You walked from the bedroom to the kitchen, and the floor dropped 10 degrees in 8 feet. You turned the thermostat up an hour ago. The furnace is running, and the heat is leaving through the ground beneath your feet faster than any machine can replace it. Every hour your floor bleeds heat like that, your utility meter spins, and somebody in a glass building is cashing a check with your name on it. 4 miles down the road, there is a farmhouse built in 1908. No central heating, single-pane windows. I walked in on a February morning when it was 9 degrees outside. The floor was warm, not room temperature. Warm, like it had been heated from underneath. It had not. No radiant system, no electric mat, no contractor. Just $4 of material that every farmhouse in America had under its floors before 1950. And that quietly disappeared from every building guide written after 1955. If you already own a house, stay with me, because this works in any home regardless of age, construction, or how it is currently heated. You do not need permits. You do not need a contractor. You need one afternoon and $4. I am going to show you exactly what that material is. I am going to show you the entry from a 1946 farmhouse insulation manual published by the Iowa State Extension Service that documented this method in over 35,000 rural homes across 7 states. And I'm going to show you why the American flooring industry, which generates over $80 billion every year, quietly removed this technique from every installation guide written after the wall-to-wall carpet boom of 1957. This is not spray foam. This is not fiberglass batting. This is not a product with a brand name and an R value printed on the package. This is a layer of dry wheat straw, 2 inches thick, laid flat between your subfloor and your finished floor. The same material every Amish farmhouse in Holmes County still uses today. And a bale of it costs $4 at any farm supply store. The first time I visited that farmhouse near Ames, Iowa, I asked the man who lived there, a farmer named Gerald Brauer, why his floors were warm. He was 74 years old. He looked at me like I had asked why the sky was blue. He said his father had laid straw under every floor in the house in 1932. He said, "The straw has never been replaced. It has been under those boards for 92 years, and the floor has been warm every February since." I stood in Gerald Brauer's kitchen for a long time thinking about my own house, my own floors, my own heating bill. The American flooring and insulation industry quietly consolidated its hold on home construction recommendations sometime around 1957. Before 1957, straw, wool, and loose wood shavings between floor layers appeared in every farmhouse construction guide published in America. After 1957, those references disappeared. Not because the materials stopped working, because the wall-to-wall carpet industry needed a subfloor system that required professional installation, proprietary underlayment products, and replacement every 15 years. The flooring industry today generates over $80 billion annually. A $4 layer of straw that makes your floors warm indefinitely and never needs replacing is not something that industry has any incentive to keep in front of you. Here is what the physics actually looks like. Your floor loses heat in 2 ways. The first way is conduction, heat moving directly through the wood into the cold crawl space or concrete below. The second way is convection, cold air from below pushing up through the gaps between floorboards and around the edges of the room. Modern insulation products address conduction. They almost never address convection. Straw addresses both simultaneously. Think of it like this. Straw is not just a material. It is a matrix of millions of hollow tubes, each one trapping a pocket of still air. Still air does not conduct heat. Still air does not move. Still air is the best thermal barrier that exists at any price point. The R value of a 2-inch straw layer comes in between R2.5 and R3.5 depending on compression. That is comparable to a standard fiberglass bat at a fraction of the cost. But straw does something fiberglass never can. Because the straw layer is continuous and dense, it seals the convective pathways, the gaps and cracks, that fiberglass batting leaves open at every seam and edge. The cold air from below simply cannot find a way through. I found the full documentation in the 1946 Iowa State Extension Service Manual. Page 9 describes what the manual calls the loose fill floor method. Here is the exact process. For existing floors that are already laid and finished, you access the straw layer from below through your crawl space or basement ceiling. Dry wheat straw, not hay straw, which contains no seed heads and will not attract rodents. Pack it between your floor joists to a depth of 2 to 3 inches. Compress it lightly so it fills the full cavity from joist to joist without gaps. Staple a single layer of craft paper across the bottom of the joist to hold the straw in place and prevent it from settling over time. That is the entire installation. For new floors or floors being replaced, lay the straw directly on the subfloor before the finished floor goes down. 2 inches. Level. Compressed lightly. Finished floor on top. The 1946 manual documented the results in 35,000 homes across 7 states. Average reduction in floor surface temperature differential between room air and floor surface, 14 degrees Fahrenheit. Gerald Brauer's floor was 9 degrees outside and warm under your socks. That is the 14 degrees the manual documented. Now here is the part most people miss, and it extends the system to every exterior wall in your house. The same loose straw fill method works in wall cavities. Blown in through small holes drilled in the exterior siding, packed to a density of 4 to 6 pounds per cubic foot, straw in wall cavities produces an R value comparable to cellulose blown insulation at roughly 1/10 the cost. The 1946 manual documented this wall application in farmhouses across Minnesota and North Dakota, climates where winter temperatures regularly drop to 30 below zero. In those houses, interior wall surface temperatures stayed within 6 degrees of room temperature, even at the coldest point of winter. Gerald Brauer's house has straw in the walls too. His grandfather packed it in 1932. It has never been replaced. Why does the average American household spend over $1,200 a year heating a home whose floors are bleeding that heat directly into the ground? Why did the Iowa State Extension Service document a 14-degree floor temperature improvement in 1946 and then quietly allow that manual to disappear from public access by 1960? Why does the American insulation industry generate over $50 billion annually selling products that require professional installation and replacement cycles, when $4 of straw does the same job indefinitely? You already know the answer. The straw did not fail. It was not replaced by something better. It was quietly written out of the conversation at exactly the moment that a billion-dollar underlayment industry needed customers who had forgotten they had a $4 alternative. Gerald Brauer's grandfather packed that straw in 1932. Gerald has never replaced it. His son will not replace it either. I do not know what brought you here today. Maybe your heating bill this winter crossed a number you could not justify. Maybe you have been walking on cold floors every February for 20 years, and you started wondering if there was a real answer. Maybe someone in your family used to talk about how old farmhouses stayed warm, and you never understood how until right now. Maybe you are building the kind of household that does not depend on an industry to stay warm. It does not matter which one. $4. A bale of dry wheat straw. One afternoon in your crawl space. And the same still air matrix that has been keeping Gerald Brauer's floors warm through Iowa winters since 1932. If you are the kind of person who believes that real knowledge has been quietly pushed aside to protect someone else's profit, you already know what to do next. You go to the farm supply store this weekend. You buy a bale of straw, and you start recovering something that belonged to your family long before any flooring company had your address on a billing statement. Now I want to ask you something specific, and I want you to actually answer in the comments. What is the coldest room in your house right now? Tell me the room. Tell me how old your house is, and tell me what kind of floor it has. I read every comment, and the answers you share help me understand what to cover next. Take it and use it. See you next time. Next video, I am going to show you the one material every Amish barn used on its roof before asphalt shingles existed. It costs $3 per square foot to apply. It lasts over 100 years without a single repair. And the American roofing industry has spent 60 years making sure you never hear about it. See you then.